Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jay, and we're here on a overcast day here in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains in Washington State. But today I want to show you our new quail hutch build. The old quail hutch that I built, video right here, it just didn't work out. There's a couple flaws with that thing, and I'll show you what those flaws are right now. The number one thing that I did wrong with this hutch was having these shelves basically created from the screen that I put in. Now this was a solid floor on the original video, but I cut it out because it didn't take long for that thing to just fill up with poo. And you can see on these edges it just got caked with poop, and it really stunk, and I would have to scrape it all the time, and it just was a bad design. You want just a caged floor where all the poo can go through without getting stuck on any kind of shelf. Same thing on this side. Yeah, these little shelves, it just created a little poop shelf, and it just was no good. Another thing that I really didn't like about this design was the floor is pretty flat, and it's nice to have a little slant to the floor. That way the eggs kind of roll towards the front. I was sticking my head and body in there grabbing eggs way back there, and it was pretty stinky. The other thing I didn't like was the poop gathered underneath this thing. It was kind of hard to dig the poop out of there. I would let it go for a while, and it would just become so smelly. I tried to keep cover on it, like you can see there. I've got straw and wood chips, but eventually it would get to be a giant pile, and it was just a lot to handle, especially when the garden, it's all uphill. So I took a wheelbarrow load of poop up there and would dump it up in the compost in the garden. All right, so let's blow this hutch up already. Now let me show you what I've got for the new hutch design. So the roof on the shed hangs over the quail roof a little bit, so there shouldn't be any water dripping down the side of the shed here. Should be protected from that. And then got the extended flashing here on the metal roofing, so that should take it out far enough to keep rain off of these guys. I did add some scrap flashing to the front of the roof after I shot this video. I also have this little privacy wall, and this can be put up on to the side of that to keep rain, wind, and snow from blowing on the quail. And then if it gets really bad, I can cover up this upper portion, and then the front there I'll probably put another few nails or something where I can just put a metal roofing panel right there, just cut it to fit, and there'll still be, air gaps through there, so they'll be fine. In the old hutch, the quail would hang out by the screened windows. Even in the wintertime, they always wanted to be close to that screen and looking outside. So this cage is completely open air, and something I noticed when they got in here, they started singing. These are all females, and they're actually doing their little quail song, which I had never heard before in the other hutch. So pretty sure they're happy in this place. Putting the 1/2-inch hardware cloth around the cage did make it a little difficult to close the door. I kind of had to bend these little bars just a little bit, but it does close, and it closes very snug, so nothing's going to get it open. The cage is just stuck to the side with this piece of oak pallet and screwed right to the cage, so it's really sturdy. It's on there tight, it ain't going anywhere. This little piece of trim here I put to make sure there was no gap between the floor hardware cloth and the side hardware cloth, because I don't want any mice to get up in there from climbing up on the poop tray underneath. The water, I just took one of the little chick waterers and put wire around it and used this giant carabiner and some heavy-duty wire, and that hangs right there, and that works out really well. The food thing, like I said, I think I said already, I'm gonna try to get something mounted to the side because it's kind of right in the way, and it would be better if there was like a PVC pipe feeder on the side there. Hey buddy. The feature that I really like on this thing is the slide out poop tray. Now I just cleaned this morning and it's noon and this thing's already getting quite a bit of poop. So that's one thing about quail, they generate a lot of poop. And what I do is in the morning when I empty the chickens' little trays that are inside their coop, I put it inside this bucket. So now I can empty the chicken trays and the quail tray, put them in this bucket, and I've only got one bucket to take up to the greenhouse. When I don't have the sidewall on, I just use that nail for all the little pooper scooper tools. I also have this light that I can use when it starts getting darker earlier again, but right now it stays light for quite a while, so I don't have that hooked up at the moment. So the roofing panels I bought, and that roofing panel is actually from the original Quail Hutch, so I did reuse materials from that Quail Hutch. This little flashing piece, I got a bunch of that from a neighbor for free. The 4x4 post is free from a bunch of fencing I got. The cedar fencing there is part of all that fencing I got back there. That cedar is all free stuff I got. The little dog crate kennel thing I got at the Goodwill, and that was, I think that was about $18, $19. And then the hardware cloth is the 1/2-inch hardware cloth, and that's left over from our chicken coop build. Zip ties, I had to buy those. So I try to give the quail some greens every once in a while. Ultimately, it'd be great to have them on grass or on the ground, like Mike and Jesse over at Square One Farms. They have their quail on the grass and on the ground, and obviously that's better for the quail, but this is what I've got to work with, so I'll just try to keep them happy with things to climb on and giving them extra greens. Now we did take our quail flock down from 16 to 6, so the rest of the quail are in the freezer. We might revisit having more quail at another time and then try to sell the eggs. We have a few ideas there and a few contacts that we've talked to, so that's a possibility in the future. But for this summer, I got too much to do, and I wanted to redo their coop anyway, and that's pretty small. 6 is pretty much maxed out for the amount of quail in that little pen. And you know, I might even drop that down to 5, but like I said, right now they're pretty happy. They're singing, they're not fighting, so life is good. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.